just take us through your selection issues and the discussions around selection this week?
Well, we had 3 forced in the end. Concussion to Will, Shane and Ned not quite getting up for the week, excuse my voice. So that was 3 that we needed to replace. We felt from the weekend and Chase's progression, his development, we thought he came on and played some really strong footy on the weekend, so he'll come in and take that role down back. And then we bring Riley back into the side after sort of working through some soreness. He'll come back in and Murph will come back in as well.
Was there a discussion between Murphy and Newchurch?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, lengthy discussion about what that dynamic looked like ahead of the ball. Tariq was very good on the weekend. That was his best game for the year and has some real weapons. He's still working on rounding out his game. We want to get that timing right for him. I know there's a fair bit of noise around about getting Tariq into the side, and that's warranted. He will get an opportunity at a point when we feel it's right. At this point, it's just about rounding his game out a bit. He's very, very good in front of goal. He's got some really big assets when it comes to his speed and his agility, so he'll be an exciting one for us moving forward.
What are the sort of, for want of a better word, deficiencies? What is he lacking?
Well, it's not deficiencies. It's sometimes it's experience, sometimes it's time. The step up's huge. I've said this to you guys over and over about from Sanford to AFL, and we want to make sure he's ready. We want to make sure the team's ready as well. We're playing a pretty young forward line at the moment. Riley back in, Josh Rochelle down there, Saligo. So we want to get that balance right as well. But I do understand the pressure at the moment for spots and our selection. I understand that people want to see Tariq. We want to see him as well. We know it'll be exciting when the opportunity does come.
So has Murph got the wood over him in a leadership stake then, and sort of the more experience?
Oh, no doubt. From a I guess time in the game and the experience that Murph has playing in that forward line, helping set up the structures. We do have Taylor down there at the moment, who's obviously an ultimate leader when it comes to getting it right. But to have another one there balances our group out, and so we're always looking at that as well when it comes to selection.
Do you think he gets a game before the end of the year, the way he's tracking?
I think he'll continue to work on his game, and we'd love to see the consistency of what he put out last week. So we'd love to see him string another game together. It might be as soon as next week if that's the case, and if the opportunity shows itself. But look, he's developing really well. He's a fantastic young kid. We'll just see when the time's right.
How's Hamill tracking with his concussion?
He's going really well. Yeah, he's going really well. Unfortunate for him, it was a head knock on the ground, which we've seen before, so there's no risk taken there. In fact, we're not allowed to play him this week, but he's tracking really well.
How's Ned?
Neddy, again, was pushing hard to get up, and in the end, probably a decision between both high performance and footy. More about the longer term for Ned, and he's an important part of our future, and the last thing we want to do is push him to the limit and take a risk at this time of the year. So I think we can be honest, the coach has probably made a bit more of a decision around whether Ned played this week or not, and that was Wednesday. We post the training session, he wasn't able to train, and we just said, look, let's not take a risk here. But he's tracking well.
Knee soreness?
Yeah, a little bit of soreness around the knee. He's had a couple of issues now, 2 weeks in a row with that. So we're just going to give him an opportunity to really freshen up and recover from that and not take any chances.
Are you confident it's just one?
Hopefully just one. Again, it'll be one we have to keep an eye on.
And Shane?
And Shano rolled ankle, pretty badly rolled ankle. It was a good sign that it swelled early, but again, not one we're going to take a risk with. He's very important to our forward line, Shane. So, we're hoping that one's definitely 1 week for Shano.
And are you able to take us into the conversations around Matt Crouch?
For this week?
Yeah.
Really impressed with Matty on the weekend. Went away, worked on some areas we've been talking about, and so Matty just knows. But Matty at his best is in our team. We're just trying to now get him back to his best. He knows he hasn't been at his best. The weekend was a great step in that direction. He went back, did everything we asked of him, led by example, had a lot of footy. We know he does that every week, but there's stuff away from that we're looking for at an AFL level that he also brought to the sample. So he'll again go and do that. Real clarity around what it is, because, as I said, when he's at his best, he's in our best team.
So was he at his best when you picked him a few weeks ago?
Not
at his best?
Yeah, no, look, we don't think he was. I don't think Matty was probably first to admit that. There were some areas of his game that he has played. We know this is an All-Australian, best and fairest for our footy club. So there were some areas we were working on. When I say we, Matty's the one doing all the work. He's putting in the work. But sometimes you want to get a player of that experience in and give him that opportunity. We made a decision in the end around the balance of our midfield group. We got to look at it last week. Can you take too much out of that? No, but we take some positives out of what we saw last week. You know, Sam Berry and Schoenberg coming back in, Saligo spending a bit more time through there as well. It is a different dynamic that we've played inside there. But, you know, as we play through, we'd love to get that experience that Matty brings back into the side because we feel that makes us stronger. We'll just keep an eye on how these young guys go now.
So winning helps, Matt. Sorry, Maxie. Winning helps the boys in the side, obviously. So it's hard to change a winning team, so that hurts Matt a little bit. What do you think when you hear a club champion like that say it forces him to consider his future and it makes him stop and take stock of whether he wants to be at the club?
Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of players feel something similar when they're dropped from a side or omitted from a side. It's a pretty tough time, and these guys, they get to where they are because they're competitive machines. Right? They're the best of the best. So when they're challenged on that, it is often quite confronting. So for the first 24 hours, 48 hours, it's a challenge. They've got to go back, and for Matty, it's going back and doing something that he hasn't done for a while. So it is a challenge. I understand exactly where they sit. And now we've sat down, we've had a really good conversation, Matty and I, and his line coach in VB. And we've got clarity around what it is we want to see. He has clarity around that, and we'll just continue to work on it.
Can that influence the way that you guys select the team at some point later in the year when you rule out finals? Weighing up whether or not would we give Matt Crouch a month and settle him and remind him that he's one of our main men, or keep him out because we just don't think he's in the team at the moment?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Selection is not always as straightforward as it looks. We want to pick a side that goes out and performs every week. Ultimately we're going out to win games of footy. But there are some things around that you look at a balance of a team and cohesion and what it is you want even going into the next season. We were able to do that last year. We were able to finish strong. We were able to do that in 2020 on a disappointing year where we finished strong and brought momentum into 2021. So as these next sort of 8 or 9 weeks play out, we'll make decisions around both performing on the weekend, winning games of footy, but also that connection and cohesion of what we've got going forward. And as I said, all the individual players, they're all important in that. Jake Saligo is an important part of our future, as is Jackson Haitley on a wing, Sam Berry inside as a midfielder. We'll continue to look at a different mix and dynamic of what we're playing.
Matt Crouch still be an important part of it.
And sorry, Matty is an important part of where we're going. Yeah, as I said to start with, Matty at his best is in our team, and that's what we're trying to do at the moment. That's what he's trying to do, is get himself back to his best.
So given you execution or go on, sorry.
Given you've been having these ongoing conversations, were you surprised then that last week he said he didn't see the omission coming? No, I wasn't surprised. I guess when you talk through stuff like that, Matty's interviews midweek, we get a chance to sit down, talk through it, prepare for the game we're at SANFL level. What is it we're looking for, Matty? What have we been looking for a month or so? And he's able to get his head around that and go and do it. And he executed that on the weekend. So I think if you sat down with Matty now, you'd find he's got some real clarity around what it looks like for him to get himself back in the AFL side. Is he still just as frustrated as he was last week?
Of course he is. Like probably another 21 players that aren't playing at this point. And that's probably where our group's at the moment. There's not many players that aren't knocking on the door midweek having a chat about their form, about what they're doing at SANFL level, and they're performing very well down there, which as a coach is tough sometimes for a conversation, but it's one you want to have. We want that pressure from below. We probably didn't have that 2 years ago. We definitely didn't have that. In fact, times last year we didn't have that. So I'll welcome any conversation. I'll welcome any frustration from players that aren't in, because it means they're playing some good footy.
So you're out there at one point, just pause everyone for a second and say, hey, we did this to them last year and it worked. Got the win last year against the D's. Is there anything specific that works against them that you learned from that game that you can use?
Well, unfortunately, there's not one thing. There's a lot of things that you've got to get right when you play the Demons, and that's because they're the benchmark. They're the best team in the competition. So we've got a lot of things we need to get right. That was one thing that, from a training, it was a captain's run, so we're really here just getting the legs going, getting ourselves prepped for tomorrow. But there's a couple of small things that, we needed to be mindful. And it was a moment where we could see it. We were able to just do a little bit of on-field coaching. Again, they'll bring a number of different challenges for us tomorrow. We're going to have a huge job. We had the same huge job last year, so we look forward to that.
Last couple guys. For tomorrow, is there any plan to on a early?
Yeah, there is. We spent some time in the team meeting today, really giving our young group some background on what Neil meant to footy in South Australia, what he meant to South Australians. I was lucky enough to be coached by Curls. I was at West Adelaide as a 17-year-old. Had no idea what I was doing, but Curls was a real presence. I remember walking into the rooms, and it was incredible the way he held the room. Very similar to Ron Barassi when I first got to Sydney. There was an aura about both of them. And I've met Curl since. He's told me exactly where we think we're at. He's an amazing character. He leaves an incredible legacy for footy in South Australia. So we'll honour him tomorrow. There'll be a lot that we talk about tomorrow as a group. We'll do a minute silence pre-game, wear black armbands, obviously, to show our respect. But yeah, I know a lot of people have been touched by him throughout their footy careers, and he's a legend of the game in South Australia.
I'll just ask one more back on Melbourne. I mean, obviously their midfield's well renowned, but how do you break down their defence, which you did so well here last year, particularly given the resources that you got this week?
Yeah, that's one of those challenges that we were speaking about. And they are, as you say, they're the benchmark. It's across the board. It's midfield. Most clubs would say they're the best midfield, or if one of them, in the competition. Behind the balls, May and Lever, and others. Salem. It's not just in the air; it's on the ground as well. So the challenge is to be able to, I guess, not give them the ball back. We'll go in with that challenge. We'll take it on again. We're not going to give too much away on how we're going to do that, but we'll look to play our game tomorrow. We'll look to take it at them. And play the game in a pace that we like. At the same time, we'll have respect for what we know they do very well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, boys.